Also, you know what? I want to touch on something that came up. It was a blip yesterday in like Rumorville. I think it was Mike Soto. Was Soto who talked about the Knicks are still monitoring Zach Lavine. Um, and you know here I actually do like Zach Lavine, but I'm kind of it's funny. I feel like Knicks fans undersell Zach Lavine because dude averaged 28 points a game at one season and shot 39% from three. So I think Zach Lavine is a great NBA player. Um, and I do feel like in a half court offense, we need guys who can shoot threes, and he can do that. But at the same time, the way RJ Barrett was coming on about a week ago, where he started to hit threes and start to figure things out, I really want to see where that goes with his development. Because I feel like Zach has that 3-point shot over RJ, but the swing skill for me from RJ is the passing. I think he has the higher ceiling when it comes to passing, and I really hope RJ can kind of put that together. So I know the Knicks are looking at Zach, but I hope they're not too hasty with that type of move right now. I see
You want to
you
touch on
guys.
that, Ryan?
Lavine
I
plays
mean,
no defense and shot selection is his shot selection is terrible.
yeah. Um, I'll say this. I am interested in RJ's development. Like, I would definitely love to see RJ develop more in a Knicks uniform. But at the same time, when Levine is on, that dude is on. Like, RJ's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but RJ's not to the point where it's late in the game, and then you can put your ball in it. You can put the ball in his hands, and he's just gonna take over. Like, I've seen Zach Lavine do that over and over and over again. I think this season
Yeah.
he's a little off this season, but the last couple of seasons, like when you put that ball in that dude's hands, like I've seen this dude go off for like 20 points in a quarter and things like that before. So it's like I do want to see RJ's development continue, but at the same time, it's like Levine is just a different player. Like you get a Levine on your squad, you get a go-to guy where you could give this guy the ball in the fourth quarter, and he's gonna get you buckets. It's tough to really pass that up if a guy like that becomes available. It's tough to pass that up.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Zach Lavine. I did like a back and forth with one of the other Post and Toast writers like a month and a half ago, when the Bulls kind of started turning downward about whether we should trade, and I was for it. But since then, I like the chemistry of his team, and I just think the Bulls would want everything. I think they view Levine as their centerpiece, and it would really take like a Donovan Mitchell level trade
Mm.
for us to get him that contract and his knees. I'm more on the fence now than I was 2 months ago. I mean, if we got him, I would support him and be happy about it. But
Right.
I think RJ has something else in the tank. I think Grimes, this might be controversial. I think Grimes might have a higher ceiling than RJ. I've loved what I've seen from Grimes lately. His game is really elevated. I mean, you said on Twitter, JL, his movement off ball, much
Yeah.
needed in this starting lineup. And I think once he pairs that with an intermediate game, like being able to have a pull up J, and by the free throw line, he could really add a dangerous dynamic offensively. So I'm rooting for our guys internally. Wouldn't want to give up a whole lot of pieces and picks for Levine like I would and Anthony Edwards.
Whew. You said a lot. There's a lot to unpack and all of that you just said. My brain is like, yo, where do I start? First, Grimes. Because I see simply saying pairing RJ and Zach Lavine together. Um, Offensively, that seems like, oh, that could be amazing. But I can also see that being very clunky because I'm not sure how much Lactavine is an off-ball movement guy. And even though Lavine is a higher talent level than Grimes, Is this like I can't remember the Lakers team. There was a Lakers team that had like Gary Payton,
Yeah.
Shaq.
04.
Who else am I missing? Was it Carmelo? I forgot who was it.
Malone.
Malone.
Like,
and we were like, wow, this is the greatest starting five in history. And then you see them play together, and it's like, wait, something ain't right. Like sometimes when you have too much of the same type of ball dominant player, it doesn't really work out the way you think it will in your head.
But because the Lakers team still made the finals.
Yeah, but they were.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but they didn't win it.
Yeah.
They did it though, but they still made the finals.
They went to the final and did it. That's a good point, Ryan. It's a good point. My overall point is there's certain times when I'm looking at the game, like take this game today, where you have Randall ISO, Grimes ISO, Randall ISO, Brunson ISO, and you need some ball movement, you need some off ball movement. All of a sudden, you see Grimes fly in and cut off the ball and make a play, whether it be a layup or another pass to Mitch or whoever under the basket. I think we lose a lot of that type of chemistry when we have too many ball dominant guys in the same starting lineup. So that kind of worries me. As far as Grimes having a higher ceiling than RJ, woo! Shots fired.
It's the shooting for me.
It's the shooting. Oh, not the gunshots. Okay, the
3-ball shooting
of the ball. Okay. All right. Well, man, you want to have this awkward conversation now? I could have just ignored it.
Let's have this conversation.
I could have just ignored it, but I chose not to and dive into this. Whatever. Okay. I chose to be controversial after a Knicks Spurs win. Jeez. This is how the easy show. Whatever. All right. Here's the thing. The two things we worry about the most with RJ is the 3-point shooting and the finishing. Both of those for RJ Barrett are below league average. When you look at Grimes clean the glass stats, he's above average at finishing at the rim. I'm going off the top of my head. I think he's in the 85th percentile finishing at the rim. The 3-point shot, he was above average last year. This year, I think he's trending up. I haven't checked, but I think he might be average. But I believe he will be above average in both by the time the end of the year kind of progresses. The passing. It's funny. Grimes already has 8 assist game in his second year. I've complained that RJ hasn't had a double assist game as of yet. Grimes is a sharper passer. But when you compare Grimes' passing to RJ's passing, even though Grimes is more willing to pass the ball more and has more assists, when you really dissect it, RJ has more high-level reads than Grimes. I've seen RJ pass it to the corner. I've seen pass it to Mitch on a bunch of lobs. I've seen him pass it to like the elbow 3-point after collapsing. I've seen him throw higher level passes than Grimes has, but Grimes is a more willing passer and a sharper passer. So I don't know. The swing thing for me with RJ is he has the size to bully people down low and ISO at a higher rate because of his size down low. So if he puts it all together, it's possible he could be higher than Grimes. But as of today, in his second season, Grimes is just shooting way better and just sharper and quicker. I don't know, man. I don't know where to go with this. Ryan, help me.
Oh boy, does Grimes have a higher ceiling than RJ? I'll say this, like, I do think if RJ can put it together, he is the higher ceiling player in terms of offense. If RJ can actually put everything together, like his shooting, his ability to finish, his ability to finish at the rim, mid range, etc. Like if RJ puts it together, I think offensively he's at least a higher ceiling player than Grimes. But defensively, yeah, Grimes is gonna always be
Always.
the better player, always. And then when it comes to passing, I can't see Grimes being a better passer than RJ with the way he makes his passes, especially when he drives to the basket. RJ has the same ability as well, but I can't see Grimes being the better passer, being the better assist man than RJ. But overall, in terms of talent, like I can't say Grimes has a higher ceiling. I can't say. I think if RJ puts it together, he's a higher ceiling player.
Lee, what do you think?
Good arguments. It's not one that I'm gonna like die on a hill for in terms of his take. I've just been really impressed with the jump that Grimes is taking in his second season, and I like the things that he was good at right off the bat, which was team defense, individual man-on-man defense, and his three-point shooting. He has shown that both in the summer league and then in the regular season. And he's gotten better at both those metrics season to season. I also think he plays better with players, like his teammates, better than RJ does as well. RJ has difficulty fitting in with certain lineups. He's had difficulty developing a good two-man game with Randall really until this season. Grimes can play with anybody. He doesn't even need plays called for him. He just like catches, the third, fourth, one play breaks down, the second one breaks down. He's the open man. He catches, he'll hit the three, or he'll make the right read and find a cutter. I just like the way the Grimes plays. Love how utility he is. And I think if he had more plays ran for him and was featured at a higher level in the offense, I think he would be a better player than RJ. But I hope they both succeed. I'm not here to argue one down to lift one up. I love them both, but I just think Grimes has a little bit more natural ability than RJ has to try a little bit harder in terms of these two.
I think natural shooter, yeah, but there's like nuances to the ability thing. Like I said, I think it's the bully ball nature and the size of RJ that ultimately gives me the edge over Grimes to long term possibly being the better ISO player and a better guy to run a team through heavy playmaking, because he'll be, I think, long term, if the RJ develops correctly, he should be able to bully people, ISO, be in the post, have people on the hip and not be able to do anything about it. You know what I mean? So even though the shooting is better from Grimes, I'm an edge RJ. I'm an edge RJ.
Yeah, I just think Grimes is a more seamless fit. Like you could pretty much put Grimes in like pretty much any offensive system, and Grimes is gonna fit. RJ is more, you kind of have to like, how do I put this? Like Grimes is a player that you can put him in any system, he's gonna thrive, because he's a guy that doesn't demand the ball often.
Yeah,
he's a 3-point shooter, and he makes smart decisions when he has the ball in his hand. He can actually be productive not having the ball in his hand.
Bless you.
RJ more requires the ball in his hand to be productive. So RJ is not as a seamless fit as Grimes is. But I think if you look at talent, especially offensively, I still think RJ Barrett has more tools to his disposal to be the better offensive player. But if you're going to talk defense, of course, Grimes is by far the better player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. We did it, man. We had that conversation. All right. Lee's pretty much saying Grimes is untouchable. Right?
Well, my hope is, I think RJ right now is slotted in to be the third best player currently. Mm-hmm. I think if we were to get a true number one, he would be the fourth best player after Randall and Brunson. Let's say that all of these guys are still here. In the best case scenario, we get through free agency. I think Grimes is a better fourth option or third option than RJ is. RJ's skill set, his mindset, the way that he's best utilized is as probably a second option. But I think he's more of a 3 or 4. I think Grimes will fit into that 3 or 4th option better than RJ would, just because of how easy the game comes to him.
Yeah, which is why I said before, which is unpopular take that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. We're like an elite wing away from really making a lot of noise.
Agreed.
And I'm hoping RJ grows into that elite wing. So when I'm thinking about Randall plus Brunson, I'm like, all right, if we get an elite wing, it's a wrap. Where we can really start to run the table because we have Mitch, maybe elite wing, a backup defensive wing, and a stretch 5 to back up Mitch. In my mind, would be like a perfect team. In my mind, but then it's like, for me, Grimes is such a good piece, and he fits everywhere. Like it would be like I feel like having an elite wing next to RJ would be a weird fit team wise. Which is why I want RJ to grow into that, because otherwise, to me, long term, if you get an elite wing, it makes more sense to remove RJ and still have Grimes here to play that role than have RJ play alongside one, because of the fit conversation that we were having just now. Not a popular take, but I
agree with you.
It just makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right.